You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
The Oilers asking Darnell Nurse to waive his no-trade clause means nothing. We've been asking Liam to waive his for 3 years. Let's get into it with the lead. Oh, Liam's not here today. Uh-oh. Did he finally say yes? Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday. We're live from the Sports Closet studio. From jerseys to hats to the legendary foam finger, you'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. We are also a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Welcome into the show. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. And there's a little bit for us to get to today. But don't worry, Liam's here. He's just not in the room with me. He's out of town, but he's still doing the show. Waive that pesky no movement clause. We're trying to rebuild, Liam, damn it.
Well, I'm down in Calgary for a visit.
Interesting. There is, like I said, plenty for us to get to today on the show. I see you all buzzing around in the chat. So let's start with that. YouTube chat brought to you by these bad boys. Odd Company Brewing, Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. Pick one up at your local liquor store by going to liquorconnect.com. Liam, we made the title of the show Darnell Nurse's Future, and the chat doesn't really like that all that much. Brian is in, says Nurse isn't getting moved barring a massive fallout to begin the season. He's locked in here, overpaid by $2.5-3 million. He's one of the better players we had in the Cup final. In 2 years, Nurse's full move begins to dissolve, and that's when you pull the plug, especially if he has a Stanley Cup by then, meaning his trade value goes up. A lot of people saying, Chris, people still believing Nurse is getting traded? Yeah, not really. Christopher Palmer, Nurse has a future. It's an Oiler. I hate this low-hanging fruit IMO. Well, listen, I'm not going to sit here and let you say it's low-hanging fruit for us to be talking about it, especially when one of the biggest insiders in the sport, if not the biggest insider in the sport, Elliot Friedman, said that the Oilers approached every player with a no-movement clause and asked them about their future. That includes Arvidsson, who was the only one willing to waive. That includes Adam Henrique, and that includes Darnell Nurse. If the biggest insider on one of the biggest hockey podcasts in the world, 32 Thoughts, is, and listen, Friedman is not clickbaity. Friedman is not Eklund. Friedman does not throw stuff out there with his connections for the sake of going, I wonder what kind of reaction this is going to get. If this is coming out, it's legitimate. The Oilers went to Darnell Nurse, and I think, again, if Elliott is putting his reputation on the line, it's pretty damn, I'd say it's 95% true. The Oilers went to Darnell Nurse to see if he'd be open to waiving. That does not mean they went to Darnell Nurse and said, get out. That does not mean they went to Darnell Nurse and said, we have a trade. Will you waive to go to Pittsburgh? Will you waive to go to Columbus? Whatever teams you all want to drum up. But the Oilers are obviously somewhat open to this conversation. Otherwise, they wouldn't have even asked the question.
Yeah, which I think is actually a pretty positive thing that Stan Bowman's willing to go down basically every avenue to try and make this team better. And, you know, obviously the whole conversation this summer so far has been like, well, McDavid's not going to like this move. McDavid's going to love this move. Like, they're finding every way possible to make this team as great as they can. And if moving $9.5 million on 925, I should probably know it by now, off your cap is the way to go about and do it. Like, for all you people that complain, is like, oh, they need a goalie. Moving a $9.25 million contract would definitely help them do that. Obviously, Nurse said no, and he has every right to go out and do that. But again, like, I appreciate that Bowman's willing to ask the question, and it just shows like he has no connection, I guess, to all these guys, right? There's very few contracts he's actually signed at this point. Most of them just coming this year, and what other extensions came off last year, but. Yeah, I think it'll be a while before we see someone like Darnell Nurse moved off this roster. And for people saying he was the best defenseman in the Cup final, strong disagree. His play fell off quite significantly once the playoffs began. Good moments, of course, everyone did, but really good regular season by Nurse. Everything after that, once you were able to start matching up against him and going night to night against the same guy, if you look at it, he fell off a cliff.
Yeah. Teams expose them. I'm not saying they don't. Yeah. And if you want to talk about defensemen who had a good Cup final, the list is Bouchard, Wallman, and that's it. So
End of
just
list.
to round up this Nurse conversation for now, because we do have a question and stuff we're going to get to later, and maybe it does just make sense to rip this off now, and we'll get to our weekend recap a little bit later on in the show. But it's our short for giant question today, brought to you by the Nation Valet Service. When it's beautiful outside, you should be out enjoying that weather, not sitting at a dealership waiting for your car to get fixed or your oil to get changed. Nation Valet Service means you never visit the dealership again for your routine car maintenance. The short for giant question is this. Do you think Darnell Nurse finishes out his contract with the Oilers? And we'll put a poll question up as well so people can have their say on it. But Darnell Nurse is signed for 5 more seasons at $9.25 million. As it goes on, I mean, the percentage of the cap that it takes up certainly starts to go down. His trade protection changes by year 3. Again, it becomes a 10-team no-trade list, 10-team no-trade list, well, for the last 3 years. If you had to take a guess right now, Liam, would you say he finishes out this contract with the Oilers?
No, I don't. I don't think he will. I know the percentage of the cap is going to change, like you said, but still, like, it's such a large number. Like, even with the cap going up, you can still get 2 really good players with that 3 if you really want to push it out. I just think eventually it's going to get to a point where the Oilers find a younger player that's just going to be able to do what he's able to do. Maybe, like, Nurse is a very unique player, and his athleticism, and he's very physical, and he has that edge to his game. There's very few players like him in the league, but eventually it just gets to a point where it's like, you're not worth that much money. And I like what Nurse has done throughout his time with an Oiler, but eventually it's just like, okay, you're not performing in the playoffs year after year. You're arguably getting worse in some categories of it. You have a good bounce by regular season, like we said, that was really promising. But again, it goes to show that, like, the regular season can only show you so much about a certain player. Like, Evan Bouchard is almost the complete opposite, right? Like, everyone's so upset about what he does in the regular season, but as soon as you bring up the playoffs, it's like, oh, wow, he's on the top unit power play. McDavid and Draisaitl step up, but you bring up Nurse, and it's like, wow, he has to play with Troy Stecher. What's he supposed to do? It's like, well, no, he gets paid enough to be the guy that's supposed to drag his line, not be dragged down when his under $1 million partner doesn't play with him. So, no, I don't think he'll end his career as an Edmonton Oiler.
Yeah, I think I would lean no as well. And I saw someone say, hey, like, wait till he wins a cup and then it's easier to get rid of him or convince him to go. And I actually think that might honestly be the opposite. I think you might win a Stanley Cup with Darnell Nurse and then be like, you might need him to play better to win a Stanley Cup. So maybe these things do go hand in hand to some extent. But like, you might win a Stanley Cup this year or the year after and all of a sudden be like, it's only 3 more years. You're not going to trade him after you win the cup. And then after that, there's 2 more years left. I don't know. I could see a path to it happening. Like, I'm not sitting here saying it's a 100% definitive no, Darnell Nurse does not finish his career with the Edmonton Oilers. I think the door is open to it, and there's a pathway to that happening, I should say. But I wouldn't, again, gun to my head, Tyler, pick one. I'm probably sitting here and voting no in the poll. So we'll wait a little bit for the results to keep piling up there. But I mean, Christopher Palmer says, thank you. You have to use that percentage of the cap line. And, that's definitely going to change the way we evaluate contracts and stuff. Like, I mean, this summer, you obviously saw someone asked about Provorov. Do you think Nurse is better than Provorov? I think they're probably pretty close. I think they're both imperfect defensemen. I think which one you'd rather have probably depends a little bit on the group you have around them. But like, let's go take a look at who would be the defenseman in the 2025-26 free agents. I just need to go actually filter it by defenseman. So next year's UFA defenseman, you got John Carlson in Washington, who's 35. Okay, probably not a great example. This is sorted by the points they produced. Cam Fowler's number 2, 33 years old. Probably not a great example. Here's a good example. What the hell is Jake Wallman going to get next year? He's 3rd on that list when you search by points by a defenseman. And I think his offensive numbers, last year, 7 goals, 33 assists in 65 games. He's probably a 50-point defenseman next year on the Edmonton Oilers. And he probably won't get a lot of power play time, which, like, again, was maybe a factor in San Jose. But he's going to get to play shifts with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl pretty regularly. He's going to put up points next season, Liam. And I mean, there's a chance Rasmus Anderson, Mike Matheson, Nico Mikkola, and again, Cam Fowler, Jake Wallman. Darren Radish is maybe a little bit in the conversation because he's 29. But the list isn't all that long. If guys start getting scooped up and signed, I don't know. There's a world where Jake Wallman's commanding $6 to $7 million on his next contract.
I do see it being closer to the $7 million. Like, again, the cap's taking, isn't it, $8 million leap next season? He might just take all of that up himself or most of it. You said about the power play, you might not get much time. I really do wonder with the new coach coming in, how that power play looks a little bit differently. What does Nugent Hopkins' role look like on the power play? Does Wallman able to sneak in? And maybe they go for a bit of a different approach. Obviously, we saw it a little bit towards the end of the cup final as well. It's going to be interesting. Davin Pussinell Wallman is not better than Nurse. He is. He is a lot better than Nurse. He's way more consistent than Nurse. Another thing, too, it sounds like Wallman was maybe a little bit banged up in the cup final and had his bad moments, of course, too. But I think most part was a better one. Loomis said flip Ekholm and Wallman's salaries. I just think Wallman's going to get a little bit more, but I think I would agree that he would get more of a raise than what Ekholm is due to get this summer as well. The Oilers have a lot of defensemen coming off the box. I think everyone basically besides Emberson, Nurse, and Bouchard, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, there's only 3 defensemen on the books next year. Yeah, Emberson, Nurse, and Bouch. So
yeah, but I think it's fair for Wallman to do that, and he should be a solid player for them this season. Now, this is a deal where we were upset about Bouchard only getting 4 years. You're probably going to be okay if Wallman comes around and is like, I don't want 8, I only want 4.
Yeah, but I don't see that because he's 29 years old, so he's negotiating a deal for his 30-year-old season. 30-year-old UFA, totally different than the 25-year-old RFA, where Bouchard's going, no, I'm setting myself up for that big ticket at 30 years old, right when I can get to unrestricted free agency or just a couple of years after it. Wallman's probably going to be hunting a 7 or 8 year deal, and that's actually something that could benefit the Oilers. Like, look at what we saw with Mitch Marner, right? I think Mitch Marner's AAV is where it is with Vegas because they could offer him the 8th year, and like when players get to 30, they kind of know it's their last big ticket. They care more about total dollars than AAV necessarily. So let's say Jake Wallman on the open market goes, I can get 7 by 7. Well, that's $49 million. The Oilers, because they can offer him an 8th year, 8 by 6.125. So let's even say you're trying to sign him right now before he has a big year. Would you do an 8-year, $6 million deal for Jake Wallman? I do.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, because again, by the time he's 38, that's probably third pairing defenseman money anyway, so it feels a little bit irrelevant. And Nurse obviously gone off the Bucks by that point. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that's going to break the bank, dude. I just think, like, with the numbers that were thrown around this year, I just don't see a way it doesn't touch $7 million. I really don't, even for 8 years.
Yeah, but again, like with that 8th year, so like let's say Wallman could go to UFA and get 7 years and an $8 million AAV because there's some team with the cap shooting up who's just really, really hungry. And listen, this is also a guy who, Detroit had to attach an asset to 12 months ago to get rid of. Wouldn't have been nice if the Oilers just jumped on it then. Yeah. It would have been something. But like $56 million on an 8-year deal is still only 7, right? So I think we're dealing for Wallman in that $6 to $7 million range and terms maybe where the Oilers try to work on it a little bit. Because again, like 8 by 6 might end up saving you a little bit of money. There's no world, I think, though, where he's south of 6 on his next deal. I think we're going to see him go north of 6, especially just with that free agent class being what it is. And if guys start coming off the board and all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's Wallman, Matheson, and no one else on the free agency list next summer, some team's going to give him a big, big offer. And you can talk about the Oilers cap situation. But again, we're talking about a cap that's going to be $104 million for when that season kicks in. Let's say Wallman and McDavid come in at what, $24 million combined? One of them's 18, one of them's 6. One of them, probably 18 and 6 is a fair mark to set for each of them. So let's say it's 24. The Oilers with $46 million in cap space, that would bring them down to $22 million, and that would be with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 forwards. At that point, 4 defensemen. So with $22 million, can you sign 2 goalies, 3 defensemen, and 4 to 5 forwards? Like, I mean, it gets a little muddy. You can see a path to it being muddy. I mean, the Podkolzins and stuff of the world probably change that math and help you focus some money somewhere else. And who knows what the goaltending ends up being in Edmonton after this season. But yeah, it'll be tough. Francesca says, what UFAs do they try to sign in season? And I mean, I would be trying to get Jake Wallman done. You could maybe wait till December and be like, all right, now that we have 2.5 more months of this, we know for sure he's a fit here. Maybe you're only 85, 90% sure right now. We know he's a fit 99% by December. Okay, Jake, we're comfortable. Let's do an 8-year, $6.5 million deal and let's keep you around. But yeah.
I think one thing to consider for Wallman too when it comes to his contract is he was drafted in 2014, but didn't play his first NHL game until the 2020 season. He only has $15 million in career earnings. Like, he'll probably want the bag, you know what I mean? Like, he'll want to make his money up from comparison to what you could say people of his draft class gained when he was just in the minors as well. So I think that'll be a layer of things. Obviously, like you said, with the contracts the year after, they're going to hope that guys like Sam O'Reilly can take a step. That Russian guy whose name I can't say, does he make it to team? Even like someone like this, a long shot, but Samuel Johansson, that rookie that's coming in from Finland, or Sweden, wherever he's from, coming this year, like he did win goalie of the year over there. Like, is he be able to take a step, first year pro in the American League and go from there? We talked about it on Friday a little bit when you were away, but just like this team is weirdly getting younger in front of our eyes, and no one's kind of recognized it in that way. Like, their average age has already dropped a year. And also when you get rid of guys like Corey Perry and Derek Ryan, that's going to help. But yeah, it's interesting keeping a guy like Jake Wallman down. I do think he'll something that probably top of the list outside of McDavid, which I think, again, I'm just assuming that gets done before the season starts anyway. Yeah,
and it will be. Another thing too, someone's talking about, oh, when do you commit to Kulak? When do you talk about Ekholm? I'm not committing to Kulak until, I mean, I'm not doing it in season, but I'm definitely not doing it until I see, what a guy like Ty Emberson can give you. Yeah. So like Kulak is 31 years old. When he was 25, let's go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. Brett Kulak was only in his second full year when he was 25 years old. Like, the career arc, again, at some point you're going to want Emberson to take a big step forward. And like, if that happens this year, I don't know, you're probably not bringing back a Kulak because you're sitting there going, we have Bouch, we have Nurse, we have Wallman, we have Emberson still locked up at that point. You have the 4 defensemen. I mean, whatever. Maybe there is a path to it. I just think you're probably not trying to give too much commitment to bottom pairing guys. And if you think Emberson is a third pairing guy for you going forward, you're probably not as itchy to sign Kulak. I know they play opposite sides, but with Nurse and Wallman both signed on that left side, and I would imagine if Ekholm's healthy, they have conversations with him too. Like, I could just see Kulak eventually being like, we don't really need him in that spot. They also signed that Atro Lepinen out of Finland. They probably have plans of giving him some NHL action this year. You're not bringing him over at 26. Just keep him in the AHL for a full season, especially because they signed a 1-year deal. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think there's a lot of things that are up in the air. Someone brought up Alec Regula, like 24 years old. They gave him a 2-year deal because they, like, again, you don't give a guy like Alec Regula a 2-year deal. I know it's league minimum, but you don't give him a 2-year deal unless you sit there and go, you know what? He's probably going to come through and play NHL games for us at some point. So I think there's a lot of balls up in the air, and the only thing that is for sure is, like, I would like Jake Wallman to be here, and that's it. Everything else, I'm letting it play out.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a lot of wild cards on the team. It's going to be a very interesting camp. I think there's a lot of conversations, like you said, that like maybe people don't want to go out. Like, Brett Kulak did slow down a lot in the playoffs. Does he play 82 games this season? Like, I love Brett Kulak. I think he's been a great Oiler over the past few years, and obviously he's played a good role. But like you said, like, they didn't bring over that Finnish guy for nothing. They didn't sign Alex Regula to a 2-year deal for nothing. And like, when Kulak comes to become a free agent this season, whatever that number ends up being, like, don't be surprised if it's similar to what like Connor Brown was, where it's like, oh, they're offering you too much money and we are not willing to pay that because you're a replacement level player who's on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah, and McDowell just said, look at the market, man. Kevin Ball and Nick Hague got $5 million. The idea that some team offers Brett Kulak 4x4 next summer is not insane, and the Oilers can't be that team who offers him 4x4. They need to be in the business, especially with big money contracts kicking in, and if you want to keep the Wallmans of the world and whatnot, you need to be in the business of like, ooh, Kulak 4x4, we're good because we're keeping Emberson around and he's 1.4 for another year. Then we'll give him a raise to 3 and then we'll go from there. Like, that's the world the Oilers operate in. Like, you can't just, I'm fine. And this goes back to the big debate we had coming out of Florida. Like, Wallman is a difference maker. He can change periods, shifts, games. Like, Wallman is that good. I believe in Jake Wallman. He's also, I know he's only 2 years younger than Kulak, but that's 2 years younger. Like, that's not an insignificant age gap. 2.5 years, I think, actually, if you were to look at the birthdays. I commit to guys like that. I pay guys like that. I'm not going with a soon-to-be 32-year-old defenseman and saying, hey, here's 4 or 5 years at $4 to $5 million. No, but I'm willing to go 7 years with a 29-year-old because, again, I'm getting more years of his prime in that. But, got to readjust our brains, McDowell. I agree with you 100%. This new market, totally different. Someone said Dylan Sandberg's probably getting more than that. Yeah, Dylan Sandberg's definitely getting. Dylan Sandberg might get $6 million.
The other side of it, too, is, like, you look at games played, like, Brett Kulak, he's 580 career regular season games, almost 100 career playoff games. He's 31. You look at Jake Wallman, yes, he's only a couple of years younger at 29, but he's only played 267 regular season games, and the bulk of his playoff games came this season besides one. So a little less tread on the tires, too, for someone like Jake Wallman looking ahead of it.
That's a great point. All right, let's put this conversation off to the side. Let's wrap up the poll. What do we got here? I'll hit and 56% of you said no, Darnell Nurse will not finish his contract with the Edmonton Oilers. Again, 5 more years. We're looking a long ways down the line, but it is July, and the moves and all of that, the news cycle has really dried up. So we're going to talk about Darnell Nurse's contract when it comes out that the Oilers asked him to move his no-trade clause. But let's go to our weekend recap, Liam. It's brought to you by Greta. Great spot to watch the big game, but you know it's an even better spot for your upcoming party or event. Need a venue for team building or a summer social event? Check out Greta, the patio electric. They also have, since they renovated, that new big space at the back that like almost serves as like a private little area. It's a really good spot if you and your coworkers or whoever, maybe a birthday party. Greta's a great spot. Arcade, bar, street food. Go watch a little baseball at Greta. Actually, you know what? Greta with the games and a sport like baseball for a casual baseball fan would be elite because it's like, oh, inning started. I'm going to go play some games. Oh, they got 2 runners on. I'm going to stop and watch the game. Anyway, shout out to Greta. Liam, you're down in Calgary this weekend.
I am down in Calgary. I got here yesterday, and it was a rough drive. Tyler. I had a heavy Saturday night. My friends, Braun and Maddie, got married, so congratulations to them. And it was an open bar. Luckily, I didn't drive, but it was an early morning, and had to stop a couple of times on the side of the highway. I've not been in that kind of shape for a long way. I cried. Scouts honor. It was true story. It was awful. I've never felt like that before in my life. I basically was in and out of sleep the whole drive, and even woke up with a bit of a headache again this morning. It was something I've never been a part of. My fiance was like, I've literally never seen you like this before. I was like, I don't remember the last time this happened. So great event though. But now I'm gone in Calgary. Got plans to go and check out the Stampede for the first time later on today. So, and then, big weekend ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, dude, we have my stag this weekend. We're going to be drinking for like 4 straight days.
Well, I think the problem was with this one where we were at another brewery in town, and I had never been there before, but it was an open bar. So, you know, when you go and they have like your drink list, they always put it on those like wooden plaques now. Yep. So we were going down the list of like trying every single one, of course, not to be rude. And, you don't know what the percentages are of any of these drinks. You're just going in completely blind. So I think the drinks were going down well, but were probably a lot stronger than my typical Budweiser would be, to say the least.
Yeah, that's fair. And like, you're a guy, we've obviously toured around the continent together. We will go to a craft brewery in whatever place, city, state we're in, and you're the guy who's just like, Coors Light for me. So I'm surprised to hear this.
Yeah, so he asked me. They had to hit their limit on the bar tab, so he asked me and a couple of my other buddies, he's like, do you guys mind just putting in a little extra shift? And I said, no problem. It's free. Free.com.
I mean,
so did my best.
You're like the bulk reliever. Started didn't do good. The manager came to you and was like, we need you to throw 4 innings. And you're like, I got it. Don't worry about me.
Off, I got it.
I had a day on Saturday with Jay and Chalmers. We'll probably talk more about it on Real Life, but we played 36 holes of golf together.
Whoa.
Oh, it was electric. And we'll tell the stories on Real Life, but they kicked me and my buddy Connor. They kicked our ass, and then we ended up having a bit of a night as well. So I wasn't in great shape on Sunday, but I mean, you're a year older than me. Are you inching towards 2-day hangovers?
Yes, this has happened to me a couple of times now. I know I'm getting older because my hangovers aren't always in my head, but my joints hurt. So it's been a couple of times. My knuckles have been so sore that I've literally like iced my hands. So yeah.
What are you doing? Getting drunk and bare knuckle fighting people?
I don't know. I don't know what happens, but I just wake up, my knuckles are killing me. I don't remember half the night. So all of a sudden, I don't know. Who knows what happens in those moments? We'll find out this weekend, I guess.
When do you get back?
I'll probably leave very early tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So you're doing the Stampede tonight. Got a cowboy hat?
I woke up and packed I was in a lot of trouble when I woke up late yesterday. So I packed very quickly, forgot a couple of things, got my microphone though. So that was a good addition by myself. So different side of Liam yesterday, but maybe I'll buy one. I'll have to figure something out. I went to the zoo yesterday.
I saw your 30 Instagram stories. Yeah.
The Calgary Zoo. I've been a couple of times, but my God, what an awesome place that is. What a very big zoo. Lots going on. Saw a polar bear. I've never seen a polar bear before. And geez Louise, did you hear about what happened to the other polar bear at the Calgary Zoo?
No.
So there used to be two. And if any of you have ever gone before, their exhibit, I believe it's only a year or two old, maybe not even that old, is ginormous. But now there's only one polar bear because the other one they were fighting and he throat punched him and he drowned. And isn't that insane? Some one of the volunteers was telling me yesterday, I'm like, that is the craziest story. And they're like, yeah, like no one could do anything about it. I was like, damn, that is so sad. But the polar bear was awesome. No red pandas redoing the exhibit. The koalas obviously had to go back during COVID. There you go. The penguins are so great. These otters were going crazy yesterday as well. Just there's 4 of them in that picture. Little black bear, the grizzly was snoozing in the neighbor. Aaron, if we continue on, giraffe, hippopotamuses were next to it, but I couldn't get a good shot. Lions grazing in the sun. There's a couple other ones. What do we got? Oh, the zebra, of course. Racing Stripes, great movie. The gibbons. You ever seen one of those, Ty?
No, I thought you were talking about the town.
No, they're called the gibbons, and there's a silverback gorilla, which they also have another one from Toronto that is here to breed, but he's not been let out yet. So didn't get any of that action yesterday. You got to pay the good bucks for that, I guess. So I'll have to go back.
They bring in lions just to do that?
No, gorilla.
Oh, gorilla.
Gorilla from Toronto. Yeah, I guess. That's what the people were telling me yesterday. But great day at the zoo. Lovely, lovely zoo. Better than Edmonton, but Edmonton's getting there. We do have no elephants at the Calgary Zoo, actually.
I think next weekend, maybe weekend after, I'm doing the Edmonton Zoo does like a brew thing where you like go and you can drink beers while you walk around. I think I'm doing that in a couple of weeks with a couple of friends. I'm not 100% sure, but
I went there once a couple of years ago. Really fun. It's called Zoo Brew, I believe. So that's a good time. It's a really good time. Edmonton Zoo has got a lot better over the last couple of years, but long way to go.
Someone says it's expensive. You know what? If anyone has a connection with the zoo, tell them to hit me up. Maybe we can get some passes to give away on the show, and we'll send some listeners to the zoo. Okay.
Let's hope so. Someone keep saying San Diego Zoo. Oh, was I out? Did I?
Liam's coming and going a little bit. He probably just needs me to carry the show a little bit, and then he'll like zoom back up and catch up to us. Is our guest here yet? Oh, all right. Well, then, we got to make sure Liam's good to go. Okay, we'll give Liam a couple of seconds here. Someone kept saying go to the San Diego Zoo. Again, that involves taking a vacation. I could go to the Edmonton Zoo in about 3 seconds. So there's that. McDoust wants Zoo Time with Liam to be a regular segment. Probably not that many. I mean, there's basically 2 zoos you could get to this summer. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's only so many times you can see Lucy the elephant.
Exactly. All right, let's get out to our guest line for today. It's brought to you by Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more about what makes them the #1 plumbing and heating company in the city by visiting them online at starmechanical.ca. They are also proud sponsors of the Oilers Nation Open happening again at the end of August. Go to nationgear.ca to get yourself into that bad boy as we welcome in Sonny Seakin from the Brick Tournament. Very excited to have you on the show today in the hours day coming off of another fantastic Brick Tournament. Are you just like totally unwinding and taking a deep breath today? Because I'm sure the run of the tournament is very chaotic for you.
Oh yeah, lots of sleep, lots of catching up. My wife was great. She She kept my son downstairs, and yeah, it's just catch up, decompressing, and already answering questions about things we can improve and tweak for next year.
What was maybe new about this year? Well, actually, no, I'm burying the lead because the finish to this year's tournament was absolutely unbelievable. We got an OT winner in the final, and like this was a nasty little bit of work here, and Toronto Pro Hockey wins again. You cannot write a better final moment than that.
No, yeah, good luck for me. So at the end of the day, we have the closing ceremony. So I had already headed down to the pit. So that goal, I saw that whole play developing, and if from a different angle, you actually see my hand hanging over the ice in like a weird power stance, and just an unbelievable play, and just such high-end skill, fantastic game, and just really capped off an incredible week. And then really special for me, in the celebration, they forgot the OT puck there, so I was able to get out on the ice and pick the puck up and make my over and give it to Lindsay. He gave me a hug, and yeah, happy for those guys.
Yeah, that is unreal. How many years have you been involved in the tournament now?
Oh man, I started around when I was 14, so 25-ish, probably getting up to 15 on the committee. So it's and believe it or not, I'm actually one of the newer committee members and one of the more recent volunteers. Like the core of people that come out every single year, like there's multiple people that have been there since day one. So 36 years, giving that week every single summer. It's you can't say enough about the special group we've assembled.
What can you tell us about like how do teams enter this tournament? Like how is it selected? What team will be there? What team won't be there? Same group every single year that comes around.
Yeah, so there's franchises all across North America, actually globally, that reach out to our tournament bosses, Craig and Andy, trying to see if there's opportunities. And we generally operate on like multi-year commitments, and we want to evaluate programs. We want to evaluate players. And we just want, at the end of the day, all we want as a tournament is to have parity and good experiences for these kids. Outlier years do happen, and teams will come and struggle. But for the most part, we have pretty good parity. It's not uncommon. It is uncommon to see teams go winless. So that's what we look at. And then we look to markets that have shown that they don't just have like an all-star team. I think it's easy enough to assemble a one-off age group. We're looking for people that have, a commitment to grassroots hockey, and they can carry this through and then, after the tournament as well. So.
And you guys always have a ton of alumni out there as well. Like Max Pacioretty had his team and his kid in the tournament. Was there anyone else at this year's tournament in terms of like big name NHL alumni?
Yeah. So Gilbert Brulé, he was the coach for the BC Canucks. So he obviously Edmonton ties, playing here for a couple of years, a great career himself. And then he's also a Brick alumni. So he, wore two hats there. It was very special to see Pacioretty, and his son be chosen as a second team All-Star. Like that was a moment, it looked like Max Sr. was fighting back a smile, but just special to be a part of. And another good Edmonton Oiler, Tom Gilbert, was there. He was coaching his son on Chicago. But yeah, it seems like every year there's a couple, and then there's guys that are coming around the rink too, like Sean Bell's around and Fernando Pisani was around. I think anytime there's James Hamlin, anytime they're in town, it's easy to want to come out and first off see amazing hockey, but give back to these little kids because we often forget that they're 9 and 10 years old.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny, isn't it? Like you walk around the mall and you see all these kids going, and you're like, "This is some of the best hockey I've ever watched." The minor hockey stuff. But was there every year? Obviously, everyone's seen the wall of like all the alumni that come and play, and you guys have the red lines under the names of the players who have gone on to play NHL games. Who do you think is the player this year that is like, okay, that's the next NHL star right there?
That's pressure.
Yeah, there was a number, but but as we got to the weekend, there's a young boy on BC. I think his first name was Chase Rattray, number 87, and he was like not a man amongst boys, but maybe like a teenager amongst children. Like he Landon DuPont was the best defenseman I can remember in a number of years, and we've all seen what he's done. Exceptional status, is great career ahead of him, and I think this player was better in every facet of the game. Like he could control the play on the offense. He was I asked one of their coaches about him, and he said, yeah, he's just an eraser. Like nothing happens when he's out there. And, I think he won top defenseman, MVP, first team all-star. So he's one to watch for sure.
I love that you brought up Landon Dupont, because people who watch this show every day have heard me talk about him, or Liam and I have talked about him a lot, but I did play-by-play for the Brick for, I think, 3 runs of the tournament, and one of them was the Landon Dupont year. And I just remember I watched him score an OT winner, and I had the call, and I was like, man, this kid is going to be an NHLer. Like, you just knew it when he was 10. And I know he still has a ways to go, but I was being like, man, one day they are going to be playing this on Hockey Night in Canada, this clip of this OT winner that Landon Dupont scored. And I don't know, it's just cool for me to watch him go, being like, I watched him at the Brick tournament. That's so sweet. But you've obviously been around for so long. Who was the first kid you were right about, where you watched him and you were like, that guy's different? And like 10 years later, it's like, there he is playing in the NHL.
I think the first one that definitely stands out was Cole Caulfield. So that year it was Caulfield and Zegras. I actually had a buddy of mine that tweeted, and it's been shown on hockey shows and Hockey Night in Canada, that the timestamp to watch Trevor Zegras. But Caulfield was just, you see a lot of super high-end offense, but it's rare when you see the guys that can like kind of play on both sides of the puck at that age, and that kind of have the hockey smarts, and then they also just have like that drive of determination. So I remember talking to their team reps. So we each team gets a volunteer team rep. So theirs has been the same guy for long before I was there. And Dan and I were like, yeah, if that guy grows, he's an NHLer. And then he didn't grow all that much, but he's turned into a quality NHLer.
I hope this next one kind of makes sense, because the Brick, I mean, as it's continued to grow, and it's been established as this sort of premier youth hockey event, but there's also, as the years have gone on, like the world of youth hockey has kind of changed, right? You have a lot more of these academy schools, and those have kind of risen to prominence over the last, we'll call it 5 to 10 years. But for you guys, like, the tournament happens in the middle of a mall. It's so unique. It's in summer. It's not in the dead of the winter and all of that. And have you found it more challenging as youth sports has kind of continued to grow and head down a different path? Have you guys found it challenging to keep the like lighthearted and fun spirit of it alive? Or because the event is so unique, is it easier for everyone to just kind of have a smile on the whole week?
Yeah, I don't think we find it hard at all. Like, to be honest, I think a lot gets made of the Cole Caulfields, the DuPonts, this year Rat Ray, and I think we tend to fixate on 480 people that played in this tournament went on to NHL careers, but there's thousands that didn't. And so one thing that was instilled from day one, from Bill Comrie down to Craig and Andy, Trevor, now through to Russ, Zach, myself, is that we want this to just be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the kids. So we meet every month, starting next month, to just review, like, what can we do better? Like, was the popcorn good enough? Like, are we happy with the drinks the kids are getting? Like, was the beach party good? Like, was the swag good enough? Like, believe it or not, we had like a debate internally on like the color of the socks these kids should get, because we want them to have, we want their fits to be on point. And so no, not at all. And I think what's makes it easy is that our committee is just like so in line. Like, we're all there. Our values all line up with Bill's original vision. And that kind of seeps through in the end product, right? Like, we're just there. All we're trying to do is build this infrastructure in this tournament. The teams do their own thing. And then once they're here, we just want, whether it's a little boy and just their dad, or a family of like 9, like some of the Bulldogs, we want every one of those kids to remember this forever.
The tournament always ends with the jersey swap tradition. It was the last one I had written down for you. And I think it's so cool to even see the pictures come out of that. I was trying to remember who the players were, but I think it was like this year's trade deadline where there were 2 players who were jersey swap partners at the Brick who now became teammates. And I'm totally blanking on the names. Anyways, I just wanted to ask about that tradition. How did that get born? And like, how does it work? Are you actually just like, you just let all the kids on the ice at the closing ceremony and they go pair themselves up?
Yeah. So it's evolved over time, and it honestly, the jersey swapping kind of just happened organically like years ago. And then as it started to become more common, teams started to have like third jerseys for Canada Day and for Independence Day. It just made sense to say, hey, like, this is going to happen. Like, And then a lot of those kids will have like side deals from before, but the whole reason for it is we wanted to have the awards. So MVP, top scorer, top defenseman, playoff MVP, so on and so forth. And sometimes those aren't playing in the finals. So we needed to have something where we could bring them out, get the pictures. So the team reps lead them out in kind of a parade. So they're all standing there, and then, that's kind of how it started. And yeah, I'm like you, that's at the end of a very long, very tiring week. That's like, that 35, 45 minutes is just amazing. Just whether you made the playoffs or not, or you had a bad showing in your own estimation, it's just, you get to see them all being kids, interacting with each other and just smiling for days. And it's a nice way for us to cap things off.
Really appreciate you coming on and giving us some time today. I mean, I remember the brick tournament. I used to work retail at the mall when I was like 17, 18, 19 years old. Always the best week because your lunch break, you could just go watch hockey. And then I eventually got to be a part of it and do play-by-play. Like once you're immersed in that tournament, it really is an event unlike any other. So we appreciate you coming on and chatting with us for a little bit.
Thank you guys both for having me. Appreciate it.
There you go. Sonny Seekin from the brick tourney.
Thanks.
Wrapped up this weekend. Toronto Pro Hockey getting the victory there. But yeah, and again, maybe we should have had that conversation a week before the tournament, but we were a little bit preoccupied with the Oilers and whatnot. But if you can get out to the mall next year, like watching these kids at 10 years old play hockey the way that they do is honestly like unbelievable. Like they're all so good. Like there's the superstar kids who, and again, I probably did play-by-play for, we'll call it 25 games over the 3 years. Like every team has like the superstars and you can tell the players who are a notch above, but there are so few players that are a notch below, if that makes any sense. Like there's no moment where you're like, ooh, yeah, this is like a team's fourth line out there. Like everyone is so good. And then there's just like 5 superstars in the game. But the brick tournament, so cool. If you haven't gone down and checked it out, I mean, you've been around.
I went there for my first time last year and like getting the interview. It's unreal hockey. You're seeing former NHLers, like coaches everywhere. And I got to interview some of the kids dripping with swag. Every one of them. Like they got so much good attitude to them. And they're just wizards out there. It's an awesome tournament.
Yeah, it was great. Appreciate Sonny giving us some time today on the show. Should also give some love, actually, to our friends at Oodle Noodle, who are proud partners of the Brick Tournament. Again, Oodle Noodle supplying a lot of food throughout that. Got to give some love. 15 locations across the city. Check them out at oodlenoodle.ca. Get your order in. Let's get to Liam. We got a couple of segments to hit on before we wrap up the show today, one of which is the news. It's brought to you by Litco Law. When employers cross the line, Litco Law is here to referee. If you've been fired without cause, pushed out of your job, or treated unfairly at work, a good employment lawyer can help. Call for backup so you can defend your rights and make sure you get what you're owed. Level the playing field. Visit litcolaw.com because you work hard and deserve what's fair. All right. Couple of things to get to the news. Darnell Nurse, we talked about that. This one was interesting, and it walks along the line of the news and a rumor mill thing, but the Oilers apparently had some legitimate fear about an offer sheet for Evan Bouchard. Zach Lang has the full story up at Oilersnation.com, but this is once again from Elliot Friedman. Bouchard signed an extension in Edmonton. Carolina reportedly threatened to offer sheet him. Bouchard's extension was expected to be in the 4 years, $9.5 million range, but the Oilers had to essentially up the offer to avoid that offer sheet from Carolina, which I would imagine, just knowing what we know, Carolina very well may have been ready to go 5 years, $11.5 million for Bouchard and say to hell with all the draft picks. And that's why Edmonton had to do what they did with Bouch, where it's a 4-year deal, less term, but he gets to unrestricted free agency a little bit quicker. With the context of this, the cap going up, the Provorov and Dobson deals, 4 by 10.5 in hindsight is not all that stunning or even disappointing because, an offer sheet would have been very worrisome.
Yeah, I wrote about it a little bit before as well as like a speculated rumor of Carolina was the only legit team. I think we looked at it on the show as well. They have their entire team signed up for next season, and obviously missed out on Bouchard, but they just went and got Keandre Miller and Nick Ehlers instead. They had a really solid offseason to try and push themselves to the next level. But Bowman spoke about it too in an interview with Bob Stauffer, and he said they had called around, and he didn't specifically say Carolina, but he's like, there's a couple of teams that legit told us they were just going to offer sheet Evan Bouchard if he got past July 1st. And Obviously, we saw it the other day. Teams file for arbitration, players file for arbitration. Both ways go. Like once it gets to that point, you can't do an offer sheet. But I don't think it would have made it to that point in the offseason. And Bowman continued to say in that as well. It's like picks would have meant nothing to us at this moment. Bouchard is an irreplaceable player for the Oilers in this moment. They wouldn't have been able to find anyone with his ability.
Yeah. D is in. And like D, I get where you're coming from, but I'm going to roast the comment just a touch. So all that means is Bouchard doesn't care about being an Oiler, just wants to get paid. Yeah, they all do. They have like 10 to 12 years to make as much money as they can. They all care about getting paid more than they care about being Oilers. And like the proof is in Corey Perry talked about winning and how much he loved being an Oiler and signed in LA for $4 million. That's a guy who made $100 million in his career. And even after making $100 million went, you know what I want? An extra $2 million. And my chances of winning a cup, gone. LA ain't winning shit. But he said, I want to live in LA and get an extra $2 million. That's with $100 million in the bank already. Evan Bouchard's made what? 12 to 15 million? Yeah, that guy wants to maximize his earnings in his career. We can sit here and talk about, oh, they should love being Oilers, this, that, all of it. At the end of the day, it's very easy to say that when there's not millions of dollars that you could earn on the line. Like,
yeah. And also, too, D, if Bouchard just wanted to get paid, he wouldn't have accepted the deal knowing that an extra 11 million, extra 500,000 million bucks was coming his way from the offer sheet. So that is what it is. And also too, Bowman literally said Bouchard told us how much he loves to play in Edmonton.
Yeah, and
you can't expect all these guys to take no money. Like, it's not fair. It's not the way the league works, and we can all sit here bitch and complain about like, oh, they make too much money. Yeah, whatever. Like Ty says, it's like, go complain about the billionaires that own the team. These guys are just the hockey players, and this is just a circumstance they're in.
Someone said, except for Nugent Hopkins. Nah, man, Nuge got paid. Nuge got north of $40 million guaranteed to stay in Edmonton. That wasn't the Oilers going, here's a sweetheart deal. Like, that was flat cap era market value for Ryan Nugent Hopkins. And, like, again, when we talk about, like, less money here, like, you know, maybe Nuge could have gotten to the open market and got a 7x6. But 7x6, 8x5.5, like, that, again, the 8th year, like, he got paid. The guys care about their total dollars at the end of the day. And again, Evan Bouchard, you want to talk about total dollars? When this 4-year one's up and he signs his $8x14 million extension, he's going to be living real good. Nope, take a pay cut at this point if you've made the bank and want to play with the Oilers. 2x in the Cup Finals isn't small fish. Chill. Look at, like, Corey Perry's the shining example. Like, guys don't really do that. At least they don't do it multiple times in their career. Like, and I mean, I don't even know if Corey Perry's ever really done it. Maybe with Tampa that one time, but like, again, McDavid took less for his extension. He's quoted saying he negotiated down. I think anyone who, that's a PR spin of all PR spins. Like, come on.
And also too, D went on to say, can't have that attitude if you want to win cups. Panthers players all re-signed for less money. Not really. Like, this is an argument I just don't really understand. Bobrovsky makes $10 million. The only one that took like less money, like legit less money at the time, was probably Ekblad, and maybe Sam Reinhart took $1 million less. But like, when Tkachuk signed his deal, he had one really good season and got $9.5 million. But Barkov, $10 million. Like, Sam Bennett, good player. Do not get me wrong. His career high is 50 points. People. Like, he just did that. His $8 million deal might be an overpay slightly. Awesome player. And I don't want that to be taken out of context, but like, let's not pretend that every player on the Florida Panthers has taken a pay cut when Ekblad did. And let's be honest, he's probably is just a $6 million player because he's not that good. You know what I mean? Like, and even like they paid Carter Verhaeghe $7 million.
And
like,
again,
that's not a cheap deal.
Like, everyone keeps forgetting this. The 8th year, like, people keep saying Nuge would have gotten 7. Okay, first off, no team in the flat cap, no team in the flat cap was giving Ryan Nugent Hopkins a 7x7 deal. Maybe some team was giving him a 6x7. Maybe some team was giving him a 5x7. And even then, if a team would have offered him 7x7, keep in mind, this is probably his final and his one big ticket, $49 million divided by 8, $6.1 million. So even at the most, the peak of that deal, Nuge ended up only losing $1 million a year, which he really didn't, because come on, guys. And like, people said, well, Ken Holland came out and said, and well, Chiarelli offered him 15, and McDavid said no, 12.5. Jesus Christ. I mean, are we believing that stuff? Like, that's spinning. That's posturing. They want Ken Holland's not going to sit there and be like, listen, guys, Nuge was at 4 and we got fucked on this negotiation. Like, we signed up. They're not. What do you think they're going to, the Oilers? You thought Chiarelli was going to come out and be like, so we really wanted Connor at 10 and his agent looked us dead in the face and said, go to hell. It's 12.5. No, they are obviously going to spin you a story, and we're not going to clip any of this because I don't need to fight online with people, but like, they're obviously going to spin you a story and be like, we signed this guy to a fantastic contract. Like, same thing with Evan Bouchard. Yes, the threat of the offer sheet, all of that. I believe that Carolina was there knocking. Stan Bowman's only bringing it up because he wants to sit there and be like, that he has to justify the contract he gave. Like, that's all this is. It's the same thing with all this talk about McDavid signing for 3 years. McDavid is going to test free agency. Connor McDavid's not married to Edmonton. Who do you think is giving the people the information to put this out there? Like, there's a reason this stuff gets out. And if you want to talk about Florida and all the amazing deals they get, one, state income tax helps a little bit. I'm not saying it's the be-all, end-all. I've never said that, but it helps a little bit. And you know what else helps? We can hammer this home and we can point to the Marner situation once again. Giving guys an 8th year. Sam Bennett took less to be a Panther. He got an 8th year at $8 million, and he has a career high of 51 bleeping points. He didn't take less for shit. If anything, Florida had to go up to get to that $8 million, or he was going to walk. And guess what? I got to pull out my calculator again. 8 by 8, $64 million. Divided by 7, 9.1. You don't think he was getting 9.2 from the San Jose Sharks or the Chicago Blackhawks? He absolutely was. Like, guys aren't taking discounts. Sam Reinhart had one 50-goal season and parlayed that into an 8 by $8.6 million contract in a tax-free state. Sam Reinhart might have gotten 9.75 somewhere else. The dollars would have evened up. Yeah. This idea that guys are taking less. Aaron Ekblad got an 8th year at 6.1. On the open market, he maybe would have gotten $7 million. Wash. Dollars, it's even. Like, the idea that guys are just walking around signing in Florida for 1.5 million it's not true. The discounts aren't that big. The state income tax helps a little bit, but at the end of the day, these guys want to get paid.
Mm-hmm. The other part of it too for Florida, and the reason why they are allowed to exceed what the cap should be for these guys by say $1 million, $2, whatever it may be, their fourth line combined makes less than $3 million. Their third pairing defensemen combined make less than $2 million. Like, they can afford to do this stuff because they're not overpaying guys who everyone loves, like Matthias Janmark, $1.45 million to play on that fourth line and score 2 goals for them. They're paying AJ Greer $775,000 to score 4 goals for them, ironically enough. So it's just stuff like that. It's like, oh yes, and a few people have put it. This isn't my opinion, but you guys have thrown it in there too. It's just like, pay your star players, just don't pay the crap.
And like crap is maybe harsh to where I'm going to go, but like, to bring our whole conversation full circle, it's why you pay Wallman and you don't pay Kulak, right? Like, that's the difference. Like, Florida would not sit there and look at a Brett Kulak on their third pairing. It's why they let Nate Schmidt walk this offseason instead of signing him for $3.5 million, right? Also, pay the top end, don't pay the mush, find good depth players, and you will win Stanley Cups. The Canada, well, I heard Janmark was offered 5x5, but he turned it down.
Wow.
Well,
makes sense. I would not be surprised. And it's funny too that we talk about Bouchard. It's like, take a pay cut. They bridged him for $4 million, and he has led the playoffs by points by a defenseman for 3 years in a row. He took the pay cut, and they still didn't win. It's his fault. But anyways, understanding the point of it for sure.
And I know the thing with Bouchard, like, there are other contracts that they had to squeeze in. Like, it would have been very hard to do it. But like, imagine how much we're loving life right now if instead of bridging Bouchard at 3.6, the Oilers just said, "Here's your $8 by $6 million contract you wanted." Like, we're laughing. Yeah. We're laughing right now. But again, if you're gonna do that, you have to take short-term pain for the long-term gain. And like, this organization at every turn just doesn't want to seem to do that. And it's the tough part to like give them some sympathy and to like lean more to their side and justify it. It's very hard to take short-term pain when every year you're desperate to try win a Stanley Cup, but maybe this is the offseason or the next year and a bit where we see the Oilers do that a little bit more or start to do that a little bit more. Because with the cap skyrocketing, maybe you can afford to take a little bit of long-term pain. And it was more difficult in a flat cap era to sit there and be like, hey, can we find the extra $3.5 million for a guy like Evan Bouchard? So, yeah. Nareed is in. Did I miss you guys talking about Nurse? Did you listen to 32 Thoughts?
Catch the start of the show.
Yeah, first 20 minutes of the show. One more thing in the news for Litco Law. The Sabres are bringing Bowen Byram to team-elected arbitration, which means he's now no longer eligible for an offer sheet. So he's no longer eligible for an offer sheet, but whatever the arbiter comes down with, Byram can choose to add a second year onto it. So let's say the arbiter comes in and is like, you're worth $7.2 million right now. Byram can say, make it 2 years. He's now signed for 2 by 7.2 and is a UFA the first year he's eligible to be an unrestricted free agent. So that is an interesting wrinkle with that. We won't get too far into the rumor mill stuff. Devils are talking about moving Dougie Hamilton. The Leafs are looking at Roslovic. The Panthers are $2.9 million over. They're probably going to trade Evan Rodriguez and his $3 million cap hit. And the Oilers were linked to Matias Michelli. We talked about him being a good idea for this team.
Yeah, I believe on 32 Thoughts as well is where this was brought up. The Oilers obviously didn't go and get Matias Michelli. Instead, it was the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the rumor is a big reason why was Max Domi. I would assume they must have crossed paths when they were in Arizona together, I would think, but I'm not sure what the full connection is there. But it sounds like Max Domi is the reason he kind of ended up as a Maple Leaf and not an Oiler. But I talked about it on O&R on Friday, Ty. I actually don't think Matias Michelli, after free agency is come and gone, would have been as much of a fit because I feel like the players that the Oilers got are way more versatile now. They can play penalty kill, power play, whatever they kind of need. Michelli isn't that guy. He doesn't kill penalties well. Like a Mangiapane, you can throw on the PK and he can have a role there if he's not finding it in the top six. I feel like that's what the Oilers were trying to identify. But again, Michelli is a really skilled player and he would have been exciting to watch in Edmonton.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is, I mean, the Oilers actually could have gotten pretty close to affording Michelli if they would have been okay running a 12-7-2 roster. Because if you take off, let's say they send Jones and Tomasek down, that's 2.1. You're at 12 forwards then. Let's say Curtis Lazar's not starting the year with the team, so now you're at 2.9-ish. With 11 forwards plus your 175K, it would have been real close. You would have needed Utah to keep like a hair of it, or this might tie back to an Adam Henrique conversation where they went to Henrique and like, hey, will you waive because we're going to put you in this package to send you to Utah? And Henrique was like, I'm not going to play in Utah or something like that. You never know. But like maybe Arvidsson as well wouldn't waive to go to Utah and that hurt the deal. Like they would have had to probably clear out just a touch of cap space to make it work. But all right, there you go. There's your little rumor mill news segment for our friends at Litco Law. Let's wrap up with some talk for Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the code NATION. Whatever the moment, never ordinary at Bet365. Liam, the Edmonton Elks got their first win. I believe they were favorites against the Ottawa Red Blacks last night at Commonwealth Stadium, but it was a high-scoring dub. Still some weird stuff with this Elks team. Example, Trey Ford will go play perfect, and they just keep putting Cody Fajardo in for sets, and they're like, well, we're pre-designing that. And it's, can we just have our number one quarterback, please? Like, enough of this Fajardo stuff. Yeah,
they actually were underdogs on Friday. Rick about it. They were plus 115 underdogs. So I don't know if the line ended up switching. They were only +2 on the spread as well, but great job by the Elks, like you said. Like it would be nice to just have the regular lineup, but nothing's regular in Edmonton, and it just is what it is. But they won. We didn't go 0-7 for the second year in a row. So I believe I'm no Elks expert. I'm trying to watch them a little bit more than I have in the past. But people getting those first 3 games was going to be very difficult. But I think here on out, they have a really good chance of kind of going on a bit of a run, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of said, like, first month of the year is going to be difficult, but you have a chance to maybe rack up some wins, get yourself in the playoff picture as it goes on. Speaking of being in the playoff picture, Liam, 8 in a row for the Toronto Blue Jays. They finished off another sweep, taking down the LA Kings. They are 52-38 through 90 games. They have a 3-game lead atop the AL East, a division that a month ago, I believe they were 6 games back of. It has been an unbelievable run for the Jays. If they win 2 of their next 6 games, if they go 2-4 in their next 6 games, they will set a franchise record for the most amount of wins before the All-Star break. And here's the other beautiful thing. The 2 teams they're playing in those 6 games leading up to the All-Star break are the 2 worst teams in the American League. It's the Chicago White Sox, who are 30-60, and the Athletics, no city name, 37-55. The Jays, legitimately, Liam, the Jays have a chance to win 14 straight games leading into the All-Star break. Knock on wood.
It's exciting. I think I'm gonna have to start learning the names of the players again, Tyler. I might have to. I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon when they turned and became a good team. This was around the same time I did it. So now I'm gonna have to start doing it. We have the new podcast on Blue Jays Nation, 6 inning stretch with Whit Merrifield, I believe it is. So I'm gonna have to start listening to that to get back, start learning. I believe there's a player called Addison Berger or something.
Addison Barger.
Barger.
And he is just a machine, man. And yeah, Canada, George Springer, dude. George Springer is back to vintage George Springer. Like, everything going on with this team right now is just pointing them in a direction that is so exciting. And Ross Atkins does not sit still at deadlines. He's going to make some moves, and I think he's going to make, I'll predict 2 big splashes for this team ahead of the deadline.
What do they need the most? What are we looking at here? Starting pitcher, I think you've said in the past.
Yeah, they need a starter, and I think they're going to try probably hunt for one with some team control, because then, like, Bassett leaves, you have a new guy come in, you run into next season with, like, you know, the Barrios, Gosman, whoever your new guy is, and your rotation's, you know, looking a little bit more set. Alec Manoah could be back by the end of the season. I don't really know how he factors in, but, I mean, if he's back and healthy, maybe he's even a piece that you can try to move in a trade or something. But they need that, and probably a power outfielder, because when Varsho's back, Springer's going to DH. You could throw Barger in right and have some flexibility with Barger in right, Clement at 3, move Barger to 3 if you need to. But you probably need one more good power bat. So, yeah.
Okay,
Giddy up.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Shout out to our friends at Bet365, the Blue Jays for tonight. Let me cook something up really quick here. Oh, my God. They got Barrios on the bump tonight against the White Sox, and they're only minus 165. Let's go. One sec, Liam. I'm going to cook up a same gamer for the people here. Jays to win the game. Jays to win the first 5 innings. Barrios against this awful, awful White Sox offense. He's good for, we'll call it 6 Ks. And we need someone who's going to get us 2 bases as well to really juice this thing up. You know what? No, we're going to say Barger gets 1 hit and Vladdy gets 1 hit, plus 650 on a 5-leg same gamer, courtesy of our friends at Bet365. Giddy up. Go Jays. All right. Liam, you enjoy Calgary. We'll be back again. We're doing shows. So this week, we're Monday, Wednesday, and then nothing Friday, because Liam and I are gone to BC for my bachelor party, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then next week, we're good for Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Week after, I think we're good Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. And then, yeah, all of July, it's going to try be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then August, we're doing Tuesdays, Thursdays. So that's kind of our run.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
All right, giddy up. Everybody in the YouTube, great stuff as always. Appreciate you guys swinging by. New episode of Real Life's going to drop by later today. In the meantime, head to Oilersnation.com. Read Zach Lang's latest about the threat of the offer sheet from the Carolina Hurricanes. Enjoy your Monday. Oil up.